you would think he is more motivated for this game than any game we've seen him in a Real Madrid shirt. Picked the ball up a couple of times, ran a defense a couple of times. But outside of that, I'm struggling to remember anything he did that affected the game in any way, which again is amazing given that we were talking about a player who was arguably the best in his position and in the top 5 in the world a couple of years ago.
Are we using that video? No.
Well,
we can't use it, can we?
We can describe what the video is. It's Eden Hazard celebrating with Chelsea players after the game on the pitch.
Yeah, no, I can understand going up to ex-teammates and, you know, having a word. And if you're going to do that, particularly in the way he was, laughing and joking and slapping and all that, you've just lost a Champions League semi-final, for God's sake, at one of the biggest clubs in the world, and who've had a terrible 2 games against Chelsea. And you're at your old club and you're laughing and joking on the field. Save it for indoors. If you're going to do that, save it for away from the cameras, so as people like us can't talk about it and supporters can't see it, because people are already saying, you know, this guy's just been a disaster. I mean, no wonder he's got no energy when he gets on the pitch. It takes him all his energy to fit into those shorts. He's not fit. He's not fit.
Adding to that, sorry, let me just add to what Craig's saying. I mean, not just save it for indoors, but Sydney, I recall my playing days. When you lose a big game like that, listen, if you know the opponents, you know we've all been there where we played against friends and won and lost. You smile, you shake your hands, you offer congratulations, and you move on. I really don't understand how after a game of this magnitude you are just that happy and jovial and bubbly. I don't remember ever feeling that way after I lost any game. Yep. And I've never played in a Champions League semi-final, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not saying do it in like the players' lounge or wherever you go after a game these days. I'm saying, but if you are going to be up to that kind of antics and that's how you feel, because clearly it is, he's not particularly fussed, then at least do it away from prying eyes of cameras. If we wanted any evidence why Florentino Perez wanted the big cash from a Super League,
because he's wasted all his money on Hazard.
It was this, because he's probably gone to Zinedine Zidane and said, what do we need? And he's probably told him, what we need to get back to where we were, this is what we need. And he's gone, yeah, we're building a stadium, we're in debt, aren't we? So he knows, and I don't know where they're going to find the funding to revamp this ageing side, but it's going to be a hell of a task.
Ali, it's interesting because when I initially saw the picture, I thought, oh, it's been photoshopped. Someone, you know, has done that quickly because, of course, it's the internet. But no, it really is Eden Hazard in a Real Madrid jacket celebrating with the Chelsea players on the pitch with a camera right there.
It's so tone deaf and ignorant from Eden Hazard, unaware of what this competition means to the club that he's currently playing for, and unaware of the fact that he hasn't really been accepted by Real Madrid fans because they are waiting for him to be the player that he once was. And not once did we see Eden Hazard today taking a player on a 1v1 situation. Maybe a little bit of something on the right-hand side, a shot that Mendy ended up saving without much of an angle, and that was it. There was nothing else. And so this is the moment in which, if you're a Real Madrid fan, hardcore Real Madrid fan, you see those images, you turn the page on Eden Hazard. There is no coming back for Eden Hazard from this sort of performance, followed by then the follow-up performance. The performance on the field, and then the smiling and laughing after you have lost a Champions League semi-final in the manner in which you lost it. No coming back from Eden Hazard. The fans of Real Madrid will not accept this. He will not be forgiven.
Frank?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to say that it's only Eden Hazard, because Eden Hazard, we lost Eden Hazard. I don't recognize Eden Hazard from Chelsea, and I don't know if we're going to see the Eden Hazard we used to see. But it's funny that nowadays the players they talk because they know they have cameras. They talk like that because they don't want us to read in their lips. And at the same time, and I've seen that so many times, where I realize, okay, they don't realize that they wear a shirt, that it's important for the fans, the investment that the club put on them, and they joke and they tease each other at the end of the game, laughing and they just lost the game. I mean, we look like four older former players who belong to another era where we had some, some duties when we were playing for our clubs, where we were unhappy when we lost. We were envious to the other club. We didn't like the other club. We had friends, but we didn't have friends when we were playing against them. That it was kind of a war every time we went on the field because we wanted to defend our colors. And that's not that anymore. That's not that. That's another sport. That's more business. They don't really care. It's getting individual. And I'm very sad. I don't like the football that I see and the footballer that I see anymore. But they don't care. They have the money, and they will say that I'm too old to understand, maybe.
One thing that I wanted to say, Dan, if there was ever a game in which Eden Hazard had a chance and an opportunity to become truly a Real Madrid player, this was it. And to the point that Frank just made, if indeed you have friends at Chelsea, I don't know what the mentality is currently of players, but wouldn't this be the game in which you really want to show something because it is your friends and the competition then boils up because you are really wanting to take this opportunity on? Instead, it's a disappearing act and it's, yeah, we lost, okay, it's great, it's fantastic, it doesn't really mean much to me. It's funny. Not funny. I don't care for it, and I don't care whether it's just Eden Hazard or everybody else doing it. It's unacceptable.
It goes back to a period at Chelsea, a club which he had, for the most part, amazing success. Chelsea fans love him. But if you go back to, and this is a two-way street, but just to make a point on how he's performed in general at Real Madrid and how unreliable he's been, was Mourinho's tenure at Chelsea coming to an end. He was getting more frustrated with Eden Hazard as his talisman because he felt he was swinging the lead. Right. He felt that any little knock and he was going to come off and he'd be in the treatment table and that he would pick and choose. And if it suited him under certain managers at Chelsea, he turned it on. And he's brilliant. Brilliant. He's not been able to do that at Real Madrid in the same sense, clearly, but he's able to do it at Chelsea. But when he was under Mourinho for a period, Mourinho, I think he even outed him at one point. He basically said, I just can't rely on the guy. He doesn't want to play for me anymore. And I think Zidane is finding that out to a certain extent, that he hasn't been fully committed to this club. He admitted it himself. He came back, was it 2 years ago or 18 months ago, to pre-season training. He said, I'm not fit. Yeah. I've not kept myself in good shape over the summer.
I let myself go.
I mean, that's the kind of thing players did 25 years ago, when all you did when you came back from pre-season was stand on a set of scales, you got your weight taken, and then that was it. Yeah. It's far more complicated now. It's so more... The sports science is so more superior now. You should not be coming back in that shape. And I think that was two fingers up to people to say, I've got my move now, got my big payday, and if I want to come back X amount of pounds overweight, then that's what I'll do. And hence why we're seeing a Eden Hazard who's probably not even 50% of the player he was for the most part at Chelsea.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.